Hey guys, it's Vince. I wanted to cover in basics one of my G540 controller systems. I get questions on this system constantly, and I think covering this system is long overdue with a video to show the difference of what I feel a quality system should have. You guys are paying a lot of money for these systems. They are not cheap, and there's a reason they're not cheap. You're basically paying for the performance of a robot, guys. That's what a CNC is. I mean, you can cut all the BS. It really all stems down to you're looking at purchasing a manufacturing robot. The full-scale versions, they've been out for quite some time. Haas, Bridgeport, everybody's familiar with larger scale machines. We, with the technology we have available to us now, have the luxury of owning our own CNC. And the question is not so much even the hardware, it's the question of learning the software, which really makes the machine come alive. That being said, it doesn't take away that the hardware is without a doubt key to really getting that repeatability and the performance of precision that you're after. And that's why I stay with my Gecko. Gecko drives by far and away, and anybody who's done any research on this, you can Google it, check it out. They're just amazing drives. They perform wonderfully. Their support, bar none, is the best in the industry. I've yet to have them ever give me an issue with returns or supporting anybody. Their engineers are the best. Maris and them are wonderful over there. And that's why I sell them. I mean, I can sell the Chinese drives. I choose not to because, number one, it's more headache, and number two, I'm not a direct flip guy. Some guys like to sell direct flip. Everything in my store I've tested myself and I use myself, so therefore that's why I offer it. The quality is tested and I support everything I sell. That being said, without further ado, I'll go through the box and we'll just cover some of the basics to hopefully eliminate any of your questions if you're looking at purchasing one. And you guys be the judge. I mean, you do your shopping online. I hope you're using Google as your reference because, of course, it's the largest database in the world. And basically what you're going to do is look for all the details. I can't stress that enough. If you're looking at purchasing a system like this, the big thing to pay attention to the most is the details. Because as we know, the devil is in the details. And electronics, there's no science behind soldering. Everybody understands that. Everybody understands the concept of hooking a wire up. But what really makes the system stand out, I think, is two things, and it's the attention to detail and the support that comes with the units. That being said, let me cover the system, and you guys be the judge. I'll start at the back, of course. We'll work our way around. I'll show you exactly what my thought process was when we came up with these, and you guys can, like I said, you're the end-all judge anyways. So overall, of course, we got the G540. G540 utilizes DB25 parallel port. It's a 4-axis driver system. Of course, you've got your X, Y, Z, and A. On the front of the drives, if you look, and a lot of people don't pay attention to this, Gecko was smart enough to even put step and direction signals allocated for each axis. That being said, if you ever had to go into Mach 3 and input those driver signals, you can. Very, very simple. You don't need to memorize anything. It's right there on the drive. You're good. Charge pump, I'm not a big fan of it. Again, some guys want to use it. I don't see a real purpose in it right now with the modern systems unless you absolutely are required to use it. Other than that, like I said, it's really pretty much up to the end user. You got your auxiliary 120 volt power source. You've got your fuse, which again, that protects all your innards from any type of electrical disturbance. It works flawless. Again, we do not want to take a chance with a system of this value from something stupid like a fuse. That's why it was integrated. Of course, we also have the IEC power import. These are the same power imports that are used on a typical computer. So, I mean, everybody should be pretty much familiar with that. My systems come with a trip light power cord. And when I said devil's in the details, Trip Light offers the best in manufacturing and industrial use power accessories. If you want to do research on that, go on Google. Check it out. They're the only power cords come with a lifetime warranty that I would say are validated. Very, very thick, very heavy duty, more in tune with shop use. Do you really need it? No, you don't. I'm going to be honest with you, but if you're going to do it right. And that's where we try to separate, the engineering that I've looked at from doing it right to doing things, half-assed. We don't want that. So Going from there, you can see I labeled the front, or labeled the back, excuse me, to tell you guys to download the Gecko HTML. What the Gecko HTML is from geckodrive.com is a simple file that you upload into your, well, you download it first, then you're going to upload it into your computer, into Mach 3 or whatever motion control software you're using. UCC and C you don't need to do it in. However, with Mach 3, it's the fast route to go and just put it in the file. You copy that, you download it, copy it into the Mach 3 folder. Once you do that, it allocates all your step and direction signals for the Gecko. Pin 10 in Mach 3 is typically your e-stop. So it's just a quick route to get everything, you know, pretty much set up with motion control, and then you're pretty much good to go. Next thing we have is the aluminum enclosure. Aluminum enclosure, nothing special. It's just, again, it's a better foundation. This is professional grade electronics, and therefore it should have a professional enclosure. This is my opinion. If you're going to do it, once again, do it right. Most of you guys that are looking at these, looking at my systems, realize I'm very reasonable in my prices for what you're getting. And the quality in this, I will tell you right now, is pretty amazing at the price structure for what you're getting. You can build them less. I'm not going to lie about that. You can build these a lot less. Will they feature the same components? That's going to be a question of what you'll have to review and make that decision yourself. Again, you do have your ventilation holes. Everything here is pretty much, you know, cut and dry. You definitely want the system to breathe. This driver will get over 200 degrees if it's used consistently. Take that into consideration. Take that into consideration with your cooling. I mean, common sense. Your PC in your house utilizes a heatsink and a fan. It just makes common sense to me, even without being an electrical engineer. I mean, in my circumstance, I have a little more knowledge about that. But realistically, if you're looking at this, and this piece of electronics is enclosed, plus you have a power supply which generates its own heat and is expelling heat as well, it just makes common sense to me to really integrate a cooling system. And I mean, here's the thing too, I don't know where my systems are going. So if in order to do this properly and at a professional level, they should have an integrated cooling system. And that means both heatsink and fan. If you're just using a fan, I'm sorry to say, I totally disagree with a lot of the garbage online. You can get by with just using a fan. If you don't take and expand the actual surface area of the item you're trying to cool, the fan is only marginal in effect. And this is fact. This is why PCs don't just typically have fans. I've never seen a PC that just had a fan. They always have a heatsink. That's why I've integrated that in the system. And it's not an option. It's standard equipment. I'm going to open up the box now. Just going to pan around. I'm not a professional photographer, so just bear with me. I'm going to show you everything basically is done. This is a complete bill for a customer. It was just completed. I can tell you right now, you can expect the same quality if you purchase, because I try to integrate everything as much as I can, standardized. So everything I do will virtually look the same. You notice how all the wires are tied the way they should be appropriately. And that's to optimize not just being clean, guys, and not just having pride in your work, which of course comes as priority, but you also want to optimize airflow. Right here is the QC label from Gecko. That means the drive is under full warranty. Heat sinks, again, are all mounted. Power supply, 48 volt, 12.5 amp as standard equipment. It's way more power than most systems will ever need. That being said, I feel if you're going to do it right. Therefore, the system comes equipped with it as standard equipment. It's also a selectable power supply. So for my European customers or anybody across the globe, I can support their power input needs. Over here, Sanyo Denki 60 mil by 38 mil cooling system. Guys, this is an industrial brushless fan. Okay, it's ball bearing brushless and designed for industrial use. Now, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to turn it on and I'll let you be the judge of what 65 CFM sounds like. Now, you can tell this fan means business, because I'm telling you right now, you can feel the air coming through this unit at about, and this is with the case top off, you can feel it usually coming through for about 2 to 3 feet surpassing the enclosure. Okay, I get questions on that. Why is it so loud? It's moving a lot of air in a very, very small format. That fan runs at 10,000 RPM. I have had guys say, well, I'm going to use a slower fan, I'm going to use a quieter fan. Whichever you choose is up to you. I chose my components based on the industry standard and based on professional use in an environment that replicates a shop. So therefore, if you're not doing that, if you're not in a shop and you feel you're totally accessible, you can change your fan. I mean, that's totally up to you. But again, professional grade equipment, professional grade machine. Again, everything is heat shrunk. You can see everything is properly done. There is no corners cut here. Again, power supply. Now this sounds silly, but I'm gonna prove to you the difference. If you look, you've got screw mounts, and this is bolt through design. Okay, these are not corners cut. These are not, I'm not using zip ties. I'm not trying to get the job done as fast as possible. I'm doing it right, guys. I'm doing it the way you should do it. The way that everybody online should be doing this if they're trying to build a controller, not only that they have pride in, but a controller that's going to subside that use factor of a professional. And right now you may be a hobbyist, but eventually, later on, hopefully, this machine will start making you some money. Wires down here, everything is integrated. Again, power supply is calibrated true RMS. I do that out of the box, so you guys pull it out, you're pretty much set to go. The front of the box is not too glamorous. Again, you've got your power LED. Typical mushroom E-stop screw lock design. I'm going to now pan back around. And now I'm going to show you, I'll show you the back of the box when she's turned on, what to expect with your new Gecko. Okay, it's real simple. You've seen this probably online, but you haven't seen it with my boxes, so it's the same thing. Power lights on. When you get that green light, you're good to go. It's ready to receive signals. Once we engage fault, that right there is telling you that now the system's in fault. It's in stop mode. We're going to disengage, engage, and disengage. It's that simple, guys. Again, the quality speaks for itself. There's no corners cut here. One of the big things I get asked also is my lead times. I state in the auction that it'll take, a substantial amount of lead time between 5 to 7 days based on my shop load. And you know what? There's a reason. If you look at this, I think the guys that understand machining understand building something like this, which may seem simple if you read the wiring diagram, but if I'm building it for a customer who may or may not know what your level of knowledge is, I have to take into consideration doing everything right, crossing every T and dotting every I. And the details in this system have been covered. They've been covered in a professional format. And again, my knowledge, I think, is not just displayed in how I speak or how I write or how I support, but displayed in the work that I produce. And right down, now get ready for this, right down to the rubber stoppers on the bottom of the box. This box will not scratch any table. You can put it on anything. You're good to go. Again, this type of work, you do it right. And again, if you're looking at a CNC, I'm hoping you follow those same principles that I do. And that's pretty much why I've always loved machining. I've always been involved in engineering and building. And again, you can replicate this type of if I can replicate this kind of product and offer my customers a product that is reasonable and fits their need, I think you see the difference in these enclosures and systems. On the market that's very tight niche, I support everything myself. If you have a message if you have a question or a message, you can message me through eBay whenever you want. I pretty much answer within 2 to 3 hours. eBay is my website. I choose that because the overhead's much lower than trying to drive traffic to a website. And if you think about that, it makes perfect sense. Everything is right there for you. It's just a matter of if you have a good product. And like I said, this product, the Gecko combined with my components, I have yet to have any issues. Again, I support all the internal components Gecko supports. Their drive themselves. You're dealing with an American. You're dealing with somebody who deals with the same things every day in and out. And whatever the issue is, usually we can overcome it. So I hope this video has been informative. I hope you guys have learned something from it, as far as at least if you're shopping, you can make a a more educated decision as far as what you want to do. And at least you see the ins and outs. Like I said, taking pictures is one thing. Going over video now with the technology we have, I just have been real busy. I should have probably did this years ago, but now you see the difference. And you can, like I said, do the judgment call for yourself. I really wish everybody just investigate and do the research to get the level of education that they can, at least as much as possible, from the internet. And I'd say Google is your best friend with that. The one thing I caution is be careful with the forums, because a lot of the stuff on the forums is just garbage, and I'll tell you why it's garbage. There are some useful topics. If it's general yes and no questions, I'd say you're pretty much okay. I'd say that when you start getting into generalized questions, more detailed questions, you're going to get a lot of opinions. You're going to get a lot of, this worked for me. But the problem with that is you don't know the background of the person you're actually learning from. So you're hoping they know more than you, at least to guide you in whatever issues you're having. These are things you really got to think about, because you got to proceed with a level of caution when you're dealing with high dollar equipment. Again, these are just basic things. One of the big things, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I get at least 10 questions a day, I would say, on limit switches. How many? How do I wire them? Honestly, guys, you don't need limit switches. And I'll tell you why you don't need limit switches. You have soft limits in your motion control software. And if you're utilizing the software at the appropriate level, you can integrate the soft limits to take care of the machine. Now, why would you want to do that over a mechanical switch? Well, the real question is, why wouldn't you want to do that over a mechanical switch? A limit switch is controlled by the software, which means it can never fail. If your computer is up and running, it's going to protect the system. And remember this, the computer is the brain of the system. This deciphers the signals from the brain and then tells the motors, which are the muscles, how to move everything. If the system goes down, your computer, once it goes down and it's not sending signals to the G540 anymore, it stops. There is no motion. The only real reason you would want any type of limit switch is because you're overriding the settings in the Mach 3 software or your motion control software. Other than that, there's really no reason not to use soft limits. Pro machinists, I come from a pro machinist background. I used to manufacture firearms, so I can tell you right now, precision is key. I mean, there's no mistake when you're actually manufacturing AR-15s. Okay, if you think about it logically, you're really looking at setting up software to protect the machine over wiring, over doing lots of extra work. It really doesn't make sense to do that. Let the machine do the work, stay coordinated with what you're doing, and you'll see a lot better performance in the sense of well-being, with knowing I've got peace of mind, I've got the software set. A lot of guys don't take the time to learn the software. Don't be in a rush. This is not, it starts usually as a hobby, but what you soon find is you become more in depth, and you're learning so much by trying to absorb from your learning experiences. And machining, 98% of it now, unfortunately, has to do with more trial and error of what you've encountered, because apprenticeships now in this trade, while they're out there, they're not as common as they used to be. So if you're buying a machine like this and you're going to integrate it into your system, you really got to learn that some of it is going to be trial and error. And again, I think that's where this entire process of the gibberish you read online, and most of it is because they're not explaining it right. You'll find on YouTube lots of videos on movement and lots of videos on just motion. You're not seeing videos, typically not very detailed videos, of how to produce parts, because it's time consuming, and because technically most guys don't want to give their designs away. The guys that have the skill typically don't have the time to sit and film videos. I'd like to tell you that that's pretty much my fault. I mean, I own two businesses. This is my main business, and I also own a graphics business. And I can honestly tell you, I don't have the time to shoot a lot of videos. When I do shoot one, I want it to be thorough, I want it to be to the point, I want you guys to learn something. And I want you to be able to count on what you're learning to be true and accurate. That to me is more important. And again, this controller, like I said, this is a customer's controller. This is not built for this video. It's actually getting shipped. these are why I really can't stress, do your research. Before you spend your money, do your research, ask questions, ask whoever you're buying from as many questions as possible. And as you do that, you're going to pick up some things. You'll learn that liars typically, or I guess the easiest way to say it is, the lying philosophy is typically stories change over consistency. So if you notice you ask a question and you're getting a different answer, and then you ask another question, the same question to another person, you get a different answer, odds are there's something inaccurate there. But if you're answering the same question with the same answer all the time, usually you're good. It's just how persistent you are as far as learning what you're really going to invest in. So I say take your time, do that. I hope this video has been informative. If you have any questions, I'm there to ask. Home switches, again, just so I recover that, because I know I'll get questions on that as well. Why, with the limit switch idea. Home switches are totally different than limit switches in that it allows the machine to find its home position repeatably. That's probably the only issue with the limit switch idea, is you can use the home switches, or use the switches as home switches, if you're actually going to start in the same position all the time where you want to start your machining. That makes total sense, especially if you're doing a lot of repeatable products. That makes total sense. But I'll be honest with you too, there's ways you can do it with your DROs. You can use DRO to go through and set up where your last position is, record them, and go back and do that. You've got offsets you can deal with. I mean, I could sit here for hours going over machining, and there's tons of videos online on that. As far as coordinates and positions and that, the big thing is you guys know the basics and you're well informed. And again, this machine, this controller that I've gone over, I've engineered, and I've designed for you, is designed at a professional level. So if you're starting as a novice and you're hoping to work your way into pro-grade machining, this will take you there. Again, I offer multi-axis systems as well, so of course you'll do some homework on my store, I'm sure, and check out everything I offer. Like I said, everything in my store is US supported by me, directly by me, company owner. I don't have people answering emails. I don't deal with that. When the system is completed, you get a video of your completion. Everything is gone over in the video and emailed to you. I can tell you right now, I don't know of any other company in the world that I've seen do that. But I do it because I know if it makes your life easier, it's going to make my life easier. And the truth of the matter is that the more educated you are, the more knowledge you have of what you're purchasing with your hard-earned money, it makes you feel that someone takes that extra time to care. And if I have a customer for life, that's what it's about. This is a tight niche industry, like I said, and that's what we're going after. So, guys, take care. Later on, hopefully, I can film some more videos when I get some more time. I hope this has been informative. If you have any questions, message me. Take care.